Joining me now is Henderson Cooper, former CIA officer and LAPD supervisor. Coop, there's security at airports, in government buildings, and in more schools these days, but workplaces seem to be so vulnerable.
Yeah, this is very true. And people in my business now as a consultant, we frequently approach companies and recommend that they look at doing security training so that they can prepare themselves and their employees for these kinds of eventualities. And it seems inevitable that they're going to happen.
Right. I mean, we saw one at that newspaper in Maryland not too long ago, and now here at an office park, really, a place where you wouldn't think a shooting would happen. But I guess the lesson here is it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, the location doesn't really matter. It's just the setting. It's the idea of having a group of employees who all work together and are contained in a site together, and one of them decides that they can't handle it anymore, and they do something crazy and stupid, and knowing full well that there's no win in that situation. There's only a few outcomes possible. On a very good day, they go to jail. On a not so great day, they get injured and go to jail, and on a real bad day, they go to their maker.
Right, and they take lives with them. It's been reported the gunman in Illinois had been laid off from the company and was stressed out. I mean, could that have been a warning sign, something somebody missed? A lot of people get laid off, though. Many people are stressed. I mean, what do you do?
Well, if you're laying off a lot of people, then that spreads kind of the drama of it. But when you lay off one person, or one person is having a conflict in their workplace, that is when you need to spend special attention to it in terms of your human resources people, in terms of your security people, and really discussing it with the other employees who worked with that person. And when you interview the person that you're going to fire, you should also interview the people that worked with that person to find out what they might know about the person, and make sure that if the person ever made mention of any kinds of hostilities or anger or a desire to get even with anybody, if they talked about weapons, if they talked about violence, if they sounded like they were stressed about other areas of their life, you need to know those things, because those are going to be indicators.
It's a good point. It sounds like this gunman was armed to the teeth, not only shooting people in the plant, but firing on police as they arrived. Law enforcement trained for this kind of scenario, right?
Law enforcement trains for virtually every scenario. The problem is there are so many different ways these things can happen. But I do recall that there was a mention that he had a weapon with a laser sight on it. So he was a little bit more prepared for shooting than the typical person who just has a gun that they bought at a gun shop, loaded with some bullets. Law enforcement has to be prepared for everything. The person with a single gun, a person with multiple guns, a person with single fire, a person with automatic fire. They have to be prepared for everything, and they do prepare for everything.
The police chief and the mayor there in Aurora, in a news conference, thanked the responding officers who ran toward the gunfire and not away from it. I mean, that was some of the early criticism we heard after the Florida school massacre, whether it was warranted or not. I mean, that's part of the job, though, right? I mean, for authorities, for law enforcement, first responders to go toward the danger in hopes of saving lives.
Absolutely. Going towards the danger is what police officers do. Now, having said that, there are times when your movement may look like a tactical retreat of some type to get in a better position, but ultimately you are going towards the target. You're going towards the danger. You're looking for potential victims, and you're looking for the person that is causing the harm, and your intent is to find them and neutralize them.
Henderson Cooper, former CIA officer and LAPD supervisor, thanks for joining us here on Stateside. Let's turn to
sad, and my prayers go out to the families.
Oh, absolutely. We all feel the same way.